All right. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Beautiful day for a neighbor. All right. Oh, you know what? I'm not sharing my screen, so they're just looking at us as beautiful people. All right. Hold on, YouTube.
Oh.
Yes. Let me share my screen. There we go.
Hey, everybody. We're just about to get this party started. Welcome out. We're doing good.
All right. I thought it was time to bring you out from, always sitting in the cave where I put you.
Yeah, have to put on pants, a coat.
Folks, we're so glad to have you here. Thank you so much to CJ Wallace for bringing us out onto the Velocity channel. We love coming out here each and every week to talk about what? Credit banking and the search for the lost American dream. This is super exciting. And I want to say, of course, welcome to all of those who are with us on the in the webinar. That's who I'm directly, of course, talking to, and my partner in crime, or my partner in doing good, is over there talking to all of you on YouTube through chat. So we encourage, this is a mastermind and we want to encourage participation. We got to jump right in because we don't want to waste any time. We want to get down to the juicy stuff. All right. So first of all, we always got to cover this disclaimer because we live in the world that we live in. I want you to know that we're not licensed attorneys or accountants. The whole point of this disclaimer is that you need to do your own due diligence. And so everything that we say, we mean to cover in as general information. But does it apply to you specifically? Well, it can, but you need to make sure that you consult with competent legal professionals before doing anything that could have a legal or financial impact to your company or yourself personally. All right, with that said, who are we? The wise guys in ties. Hey, you look very wise, and you're wearing a tie. All right. What do we? We're wise. We're wise in the ways of business finance. We're wise in the ways of personal finance as we come to you each and every week to try and help you learn how to break free of your debt, of all the things that hinder and hold you back from achieving your God-given purpose. Right? That's what we all want to do. We want to do what we were put here to do. And it feels like debt holds us back. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It's just sometimes there's just too much of that financial burden on our shoulders.
Yeah, it's like, and it's beating us down. And imagine having the wise guys in ties come along and help you carry that burden.
Yeah, we could do that.
Fist bump. Boom. All right. Hey, I got something very special. This is something new. It's just coming up. Quick announcement, and then we're right into the training, folks. Quick announcement. Mark your calendars, all right? Mark your calendars. This Friday, April, it says 7th. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to change that. April 7th, April 17th. Come on now. All right, let's get back up there. All right, this Friday, April 17th, that's this Friday, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For all my East Coasters, I know it's gonna be a little bit late, but you're not doing anything anyway. It's not like you're going anywhere. I mean, your hot date is already gonna be at home with you. All right, so bring them along. And what are we going to be talking about? Join us for a 2-hour life-changing event. Life-changing. This is going to be a live event. You're going to be able to interact and ask questions and work with us. What are we training on? Well, I'm glad you asked. Learn how to build, start, and grow your very own business and create your own economy. We're talking a lot today here on credit banking about dealing with your own personal finances, but many times we also want to stress and emphasize how important it is for you to start your own business. If you already have a business, great. We're going to have special content for you so that you can get access to new lines of credit. We're going to show you and give away actual information where you can go out the very next day and start applying and getting access to lines of credit for your business that you can use both in your business and on your personal side. There's going to be a lot of great stuff. CJ Wallace is going to be live as well. We're all three of us. It's going to be, see, we got CJ Wallace's chair right here ready for him. All right. Now listen, we're all going to be there. We're all there to help you. This is a special event. We know that a lot is going on and we're facing some tough economic times and some people are scared and they don't know what to do. And so we're going to inspire you and encourage you that you can take control of your own financial destiny and that you can, if some of you have lost your job, we can help you reinvent yourself. And that's the purpose of this event, to help you build, start, and grow a business so that you can achieve your financial goals and dreams, that you can do whatever it is that you were meant to do and not feel like you're scared or that. And maybe some people think, I've been hurt by these times. Somebody close to me, a loved one has died, or I've lost my job. And it seems like we're falling into despair. No need to despair. This is all about hope because we're going to give you so much information. We're going to impart it. I mean, and you're going to be able to interact with us, ask questions, and make sure that you get your questions answered so that you can really wrap your head around this whole idea of starting a business or growing my business. And this is so powerful. CJ Wallace, myself, Joseph Smith, Ray Fleming, 3 heavy hitters. We're going to be here. We're going to talk a little bit about real estate. We're going to talk a little bit about personal finance. We're going to talk a little bit about business. This is going to be a great time. And there's going to be a giveaway, right? We're giving away Apple iPad. You know, if you want to get an Apple iPad, it's only going to happen to the people who are actually here live on April 17th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right? And if you're in the East Coast, take a nap during the day so you can be up late, okay? I know that you don't have anywhere to go because we're on quarantine and lockdown, so there's no excuse not to attend. All right, thank you for indulging me with that. Let's get into the training because we're talking about credit banking and the American dream, but today is all about the budget, and we've got to put together our treasure map.
The B word.
The B word, the budget. Oh, why do people sigh when we talk about budgets? Because people don't know and understand enough about budgets. And we're going to talk about budgets. We're not going to go exhaustively. I mean, there's plenty of people that will tell you and show you how to live within your means, and that's very responsible. It's very well and good. Our goal in talking about budget is to learn how to generate positive cash flow. You know, I was talking to you today about using the United States government as an example of budget.
Oh, yes, yes.
Think about this. Could the United States actually do credit banking right now?
Absolutely not.
No, they can't.
Absolutely not.
No, because you have to have some requirement. First of all, you have to have debt, right? Do we have a national debt?
A little bit, yes.
$24 trillion of debt. Okay, so they meet the first requirement. Second requirement is you need monthly income.
Yes.
Oh, well, an annual. So the annual income of the United States is $3.65 trillion.
Yes, that's a big chunk of change.
That is. So you got some income. That's good. The second thing is you need a line of credit. Well, they've got lines of credit, so it seems like they meet the requirements. But let's go back to the income. They have income, but what are their expenses?
Ooh.
$4.75 trillion a year in expenses. That means there's a budget deficit of $1.1 trillion every year.
We went a little crazy this year on spending too, so I think we spent a lot.
Yeah, it's like the kids all had like the birthday, you know, or Christmas, and everybody paid
Go
for
to Disneyland for everybody's birthday.
And when there was prom this year, and so because of that deficit, there's no positive cash flow. And I was thinking, like, if we were able to balance the budget, that would be like living paycheck to paycheck, with the income that comes in has enough to pay the expenses. We want, and this is the whole purpose of today, is to help show you and give you ideas on how to increase your positive cash flow or create a budget surplus. I mean, it all depends. These are similar terms. So that's the goal and the focus of the day in talking about the budget. So we're going to talk about couple of people here. We're given just an example. We go over this example many times. It's just a sample budget. Your numbers are going to be very, could be similar, or you could have totally different numbers. But the average 2-income American family, if you were to go to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, you can run all kinds of crazy queries. Have you ever had fun playing around on that site? Like, I wonder what 2-income white American families are making versus 2-income Hispanic families, or I mean, they run it different ways or something like that. Anyway,
They just did the census too, so
yeah, I don't think they're going to do the census.
I filled one out.
But I think they're going to put it on hold because,
oh yeah, because it's all out of whack.
I mean, how many people are going to actually go to your door and meet you? I mean, unless they're in a hazmat suit right now. I don't know. But anyway, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics gets their information from the census. That's right. And so this is where we're just taking averages. And then we go on to this wonderful thing called the internet, and we look up averages for everything. And so we just sort of make a makeshift budget here based off of averages. Okay, so the average 2-income American family, no kids, brings in, both are working, brings in $5,000 after taxes. All right, so this is the net monthly income. Now, you got to be careful. Those arrows come across the screen. That means, you know, the natives are restless. All right. So take a look at this. The average 2-income American family who purchases a home, and the average home that's purchased is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. And the average debt that's being held at the start of the loan is $200,000. So it could have been a $220,000, $250,000 home. You put some money down, whatever it is. So you're carrying a $200,000 balance and the average is 6%. Even though there's some really great rates out there right now, we still have and a lot of people are trying to refi into lower rates. We'll talk about refi another time. I know you've got a lot to say on that one, but not right now. But so the average payment, mortgage payment on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for a 2-income American family is $1,200 a month. So we're starting to look at the budget. So we've got income. There's 2 parts of the budget, income and expenses. So the income's $5,000, but now we're starting to break apart the pie and look at all of the expenses. All right. So then we have a vehicle. So the average 2-income family has 2 vehicles, and we're assuming that we're not buying brand new vehicles, that we're buying used vehicles, and then the average balance being carried on the vehicles is around 12 to 13. So if we have 2 vehicles, we're carrying about $26,000 in total debt, 2 car payments, each car payment averaging, again, these are just averages, $300 a month for car payments, for a total of $600 budgeted for the car payment. Following along so far? Good. All right, let's take a look at the next item in the budget. We're talking about our credit card, our retail debt. Now, the first 2 things we talked about were the auto loan and the home loan. Now, let's keep in mind that the auto loan and the home loan, those were loans. That's one type of bank product. Now we're talking about your credit card payments. That's another bank product, but it is different than a loan. It's called a line or a line of credit. Now, the averages, you know, the averages adjust. I've actually seen now some numbers where we're actually a little bit out of limit here. The new line limit I've seen is closer to 20, or you know, so I'm sorry, 17, 18, right in there, getting close to 20, and then the average balance is actually now 15,000. Is what I've started to see.
Yeah.
And so I should maybe update the slide one of these days. But the ratios are still pretty close to the same. We're talking about being at 80% utilization. So that means, so the average 2-income American family has access to $15,000 in lines of credit. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I feel like I'm pretty average and I don't have access to 15,000. Lines of credit are defined in many ways. There are personal lines of credit. There are home equity lines of credit. There are credit cards. We have hybrid accounts, overdraft. A lot of people don't realize an overdraft account or even a merchant services account that you use to get paid on if you accept payments through like PayPal.
Oh yeah.
Those all count towards your lines of credit. And some people are like, I don't get it. I'm just saying that that's technically what those are. Those are lines of credit. Now, as you average, these averages are all across the nation, from New York to Hawaii to Florida to Alaska and everything in between, folks. So we see the average is $15,000 as the limit, with people carrying about a $12,000 balance. All of this at 21% interest. That 21% interest rate is still the average. although I do see a lot of people with higher interest rates. So let's look at the next item in the budget, which you can call it a lot of things. I call it your lifestyle, call it your, I mean, right now, everybody's lifestyle is not going out to eat right now, right? We might be paying for curbside delivery or ordering from Domino's Pizza. Shameless plug, they should give me a little kickback for that plug. Starbucks drive-through, right? But a lot of us are paying for Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, right? All of these things. But what do? We pay for our rent, which is already there. We pay for our cars, we pay for our credit cards, and then our lifestyle, our food bill, power bill, water, gas, and entertainment expenses. These are, I mean, we talk about also maybe insurance payments go in there as well. What type of lifestyle do you have, right? Everybody's number there is going to be different because everybody's family is different. You might be single. You might be married with no kids. You might be married with 5 kids. You might be married and your kids grew up, moved away, boomerang, came back, and then they brought kids with them, right? I mean, so everybody's budget is going to be different based off of how many people are living in your roof and are dependent upon you, right? Okay, and then this last slice is savings, which is broken into 2 types of savings. You have your savings that you would put in a savings account, and then you have your savings that is calculated as money that you put away into like a 401k or an IRA type of future investments. And so 2-income family that maybe is putting away as much as 4 or 5% of every weekly paycheck, you know, that adds up through the month. And then not everybody saves. I mean, that's pretty clear. We all know that people aren't saving. And you might even have experienced that if money stops coming in, there's not a whole lot in the bank account or the savings account to help you make it. So people typically save in extraordinary circumstances, like, oh, we're going to, Christmas is coming up, and so we're going to save a little bit or something like that. But savings is usually pretty low. So this number mainly reflects what people put away in their retirement accounts. So this is an average budget. And as you can see, you have $5,000 that comes in as income. And then below, you see you have $5,000 in expenses. Now, I don't even know if this is typical because, you know, we've been working with a lot of clients now, and their numbers seem to be more like $5,000 of income and $5,500 of expenses.
Yes, maybe 6,000 or even more.
Yeah. So, and that might be you. So, and you know, we were looking at that example of the United States. Well, if we were to put it in terms of this budget, the United States would be bringing in $5,000, right? But they would have $6,100 worth of expenses. So, I mean, that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for you and me. Obviously, the United States could just print however much money that they need. But that brings up a good point. Because of the printing of money and just the normal cost and rise of goods, that creates what's called inflation, which is why you can never save your way to wealth. Is it possible to save your way to wealth?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, there's aspects of saving money to invest or do other things like that. So saving is part of it. But as far as the traditional mentality of a nest egg, of stockpiling, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, what people don't realize is you have a bucket, right? And you're putting water in it, but because of inflation, there's a hole in the bottom of the bucket. So you're losing everything that you need right there. So, okay. So what we want you to understand is that some people put a lot of emphasis on saving or putting money into their 401ks, but I mean, look what happened with the stock market. Is everyone happy with the performance of their portfolio? I mean, I know it's starting to come back. There's been some strong gains, but how did everybody feel a week ago, right? When there was a 20% drop?
That was rough.
So, I mean, we bring this up because we think that you can make some better choices. If you get educated and learn how to invest your own money, and you learn, like we were talking with a friend just the other day who's getting into day trading, but he's learned all about it and he makes strong gains. I mean, if you get educated and you learn what you're doing, then God bless you do that. But to just give your money to a broker and trust that they're going to put it in the right mutual funds,
Yeah, it's just not gonna
how do
happen.
you know you're not invested in something in China that's going to fall apart on you, right? Okay, so let's take a look. So we're talking about budget with the goal. The ultimate end goal is for us to create positive cash flow. Most people look at this, how do I create cash flow? Well, I got to reduce, got to cut back, we got to scrimp and save,
Well, then
right?
you end up like Sears. You can't expand if you're contracted.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what we always encourage people to do is to look at ways to grow your income. And so most people, if you're not thinking outside the box on this one, you're going to think, well, I already work a full-time job. There's only so many hours in the day. I can maybe get a part-time job for a little extra hours, but is the pay going to be worth it? Or maybe I could work overtime at my job. And those are options to get a little extra money, but it comes at such a great cost. It comes at the cost of your time, which is more valuable than the money that you're making because I mean, especially if you have a spouse or you have children, if you're working 2, 3 jobs or you're working all this overtime and they never see you, it's going to create some relationship issues. I mean, you're trying to bring your budget into balance, but you don't want to throw your life out of balance at the
Yeah.
same time, right? So, what are ways that we could create extra streams of income without costing us our precious time?
Great question.
You should come and see us on this Friday, April 7th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because we're going to talk about how to start a business. Businesses help you create additional streams of income. Put a lemonade stand at the end of the road. I mean, how many different potions and lotions are there out there? There's marketing plans to get into things. There's referral programs. There's ways to create a lot of legitimate businesses where you can create an extra stream of income. The whole thing is about with a business is having a system in place that you can follow that makes you money even when you're not working.
Oh yeah, that's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, that's not every business. You might have a great invention or an idea for a new business model, or you might have a way to improve on an existing business model. All of that's great. But whatever, God put you on this earth to do, that's what you're going to be passionate about. That's what you're going to love. And that's what your business should really be centered around. As you work your job, you're working your job to pay the bills, to get the benefits that you need for your family. But creating a business or other businesses creates multiple streams of income. I had a friend of mine I was just talking to yesterday who used business credit with his business that he generated to get Turo. He bought cars, auto vehicle financing. Now, because of the virus and the shutdown, the Turo business went away, but he was able to transition it to allow people who are looking for income in Uber Eats
Ooh, nice.
to take over. So he was able to just make a smooth transition, just bada boom, bada bing like that. I mean, that's what's it about. You've got to be able to innovate and adapt and overcome. And when we're talking about budget, that's where we really got to start to think outside the box because too many of us think very statically. The only way I can do this is to do some austere measure to severely cut my expenses. Now, we do want to also look at expenses, but we always look at income first because I have found sometimes it's easier to find a way to create a stream of income. I mean, simply just, I mean, I think, I mean, you were great at this. You used to do a lot of, what was that, garage sale shopping. And then you would turn around and sell it for profit on eBay. Now, there's not a lot of garage sales going on right now, but folks, the point of it is that there are a lot of options and ways for you. If you're looking for needs and how to meet needs out there, there are ways for you to get into business. All right, so all right, I'm sorry, there's just some web chat, but it's people talking with themselves.
Yeah, we're just trying to line up a.
Okay. So here we go. So let's move on. All right. So how do you know which debts to pay off first? I mean, if we're going to start paying off debts, how do we know which one to pay off first? Do we go for the house? I mean, that's the biggest. Or do we take the credit cards because maybe that's the most expensive? I mean, how do you know which ones to pay off first? Well, again, this is just a quick training on what's called debt efficiency. Should you pay off the biggest or the smallest debts? Here, let me go ahead and turn off the camera real quick so you can see the screen. Should you pay off the biggest or the smallest debt, or the lowest or the highest interest rates? All right, so what we need to do is we use this formula to determine debt efficiency. It's very simple. It's a simple ratio that helps us understand how efficiently our money is being used to pay down these debts. You take the loan balance that you have, whatever the balance is, and you divide it by your minimum monthly payment. And you will get a percentage, and that will tell you the debt efficiency. Let's look at an example. We have two different loans, loan one and loan two. Loan one is a $10,000 balance with a $100 minimum monthly payment. Loan two is another $10,000 balance, but with a $1,000 monthly payment. Let's look at the debt efficiency. So loan one has a debt efficiency of 100, whereas loan two has a debt efficiency of 10. So let's look at our debt efficiency continuum. So the lower the number is, the worse it is, which means, so if you see the loan with the 10, that's something that we immediately got to pay off, right? Or
Or figure out a way to like restructure it or something.
so sometimes when people think about when is refinancing a good option, this is when it's a good option. Many people though refinance efficient debts, which is not a good thing to do, and that'll always go in the bank's favor every time. So, but look at the efficiency of the other loan. Well, it's 100%. So, we talk about like there's a good debt, bad debt, efficient debt, and inefficient debt. If you had a debt that was efficient, it's worth paying to build up a payment history to establish good credit, right? But you have inefficient debt, we've got to get rid of that to free up the cash flow. And by freeing up the positive cash flow, we have the ability to start aggressively paying down our debts. So what do we got here? Pay off the lowest number on the continuum first. Oh, boom. Hey, so that pretty much covers a lot of what I wanted to talk about budget. Did you have any additional thoughts about budget? When we talked about increasing income, and we talked about decreasing debts.
Well, there's a lot of little things that sometimes we put into place that we forget about. We do a 30-day free subscription. We have Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, and maybe Audible. And so there's all these little services that you can start to actually cut back, and maybe it's only $50 of cash flow you can free up. But for example, turning off the services like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon for, just turning that off for a month, but utilizing YouTube. You're already on YouTube. You could utilize that for your television viewing and just start to dive down into some educational stuff. But that's kind of, it's hard to take a tight budget and free up cash flow when there's not a lot of income. So we really want to take some opportunities. We were talking about that earlier, about now with the shift in what's taking place, there's opportunity. And that's what we're going to be talking about Friday is how to actually take this and run with it.
You say Friday the 17th?
Friday the 17th.
At 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time?
7 p.m.
You need to put that on your calendar, folks. You need to be there. All right. So what you see on your screen is basically the budget that Ray and I go over with our clients. And I mean, we want to look at people's income, the revenue, the total amount of money coming in. Another source of income is having cash flowing assets. To finish off, I mean, you can start a business, you can work a job, but if you have assets where money's coming in, paying you dividends, like if you knew how to invest in the right stock at the right time, right? Or the way you and I do it through our real estate investing. We have rental properties, and praise the Lord, all of our tenants are still paying the rent.
Yeah, as of this month, everybody paid. That's a beautiful thing.
And so that's good. But I mean, and that's what's nice, is to have that monthly income that just keeps coming in. So what that's a that we don't work. I mean, for that. I mean, we set that up. We own the properties, but they do the work. They go to their jobs, they get paid, and then they pay us on the first of the month.
Yeah, that's that progression through real estate. It's the wholesaling where that's no money really involved, but it takes a whole lot of time. That creates a whole lot of energy. You have to spend all your time doing it. Fix and flips, you put a little bit more risk in the game. You have some more financial risk, but then you can hire the contractors and sub out the work, so you don't have to be there fully all the time to handle the project. Next level, the rental situation where buy it right, put management in place, and then it's just monitoring to make sure that it's up and running.
And then it just cash flows. I mean, we have, which is great because we're at full occupancy with 5 rentals. But I mean, that's like $3,000 that's just coming in every month to us.
Mhm.
That's nice. Wouldn't it be nice if $3,000 a month was just coming in every month to you that you didn't have to work for? I mean, that's why I love real estate. But we're talking about ways to increase your income. You work a job, get a second job, overtime, start a business. We have a lot of, I mean, we'll sit down and meet with you and consult with you if you need ideas, but there's a lot of marketing type businesses, referral based businesses, uh, and, just trying to figure out what you're passionate about. It doesn't become very hard. Everybody should at least be in the business of creating some kind of financial freedom for your future, right?
Absolutely.
Or for your children. And so that's how we talk about increasing income. Now, the second part we were talking about, and you brought up good points, when we go through someone's budget, and sometimes it can be brutal when we're sitting there talking with folks. Like, I'll look at somebody, and then I see their cell phone bill is $390 a month,
Whew.
and I'm like, 390. It's like, what? How did it get to be that high? And then you find out, well, there's 4 of us on the plan, and we all bought new phones, and we put that in. Like, you know what? Maybe it's time to give the phone back and get the free flip phone. I mean, there's sometimes, I mean, yeah, you want that phone, but can you get by without it for now? I don't know. Something to look at. We had this one client one time where we came in and there was $600 a month that was being paid in life insurance. Remember that?
Yes.
And when we went through that, there were 4 policies in place, 4 duplicated policies, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can pay for as much health insurance as you want, but I mean, this was like millions of dollars of life insurance on one single individual. And then as we were consulting with this person, we found out that their total debt and liability was less than like $200,000. So it was like, okay, I mean, maybe you got a plan for the case that you might have some major medical issue and you need some additional funding, but to have millions and millions of dollars where you don't even have that kind of liability hanging over you, I mean, we can't make that decision for anybody, but we can give you things to think about. Like, maybe instead of having 4 life insurance policies, you only need 2. And if you only have $200,000 of debt out there, maybe $1 million is enough to cover you for that, plus any medical bill. I mean, again, everybody has to make that decision for themselves, but the goal is we look for areas where there's duplicates. Now, how many people have like a subscription to some music service, and a book audio service, and then there's Amazon Prime, and you said Hulu, and all these different things. And these things just get set on subscription cycles. I had one that went off, and my wife was like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's $9 for that one thing." And he's like, "We're not even using that." I mean,
Hmm.
so
I had a charge on there that was $32 for a magazine renewal. It was one of those things that hey, with your airline points, you get a free year subscription. We just need a card. And the whole point is, you forget about these things and then they only tack it in once a year. And I was looking at that. I said, what is this?
Well, the annual auto renewal
The
subscription.
annual auto renewal.
They always come right at the worst time. And then you're like, and then how many of us then spend all this time with all these NSF fees?
I
Things like
just
that.
figured my wife bought something, she bought herself an anniversary present or something.
Because you always forget.
No, I remember, but I mean, I don't know what to get the lady that has everything.
So she has to get herself the thing she really wants. And she's like, thanks, Ray, for the chia pet. I always wanted one of those. How cute. It's a picture of
You know
with
what?
the afro.
I think I might get her a chia pet. She's been wanting it. She's been,
Oh no.
a little green.
Jane, I'm sorry if you were watching.
It'll be a fun activity for the kids. Homeschool, we're gonna learn how to grow a chia pet.
Also what's happening right now, because we're in quarantine, there's a lot of people who have dues and subscriptions to things like, health club, right? There's things.
Many people are still paying for that.
Right. And if you're not using it, I mean, maybe there's a way to free some of that stuff up. So we look at anywhere where we can find areas of duplication. Now, some people we've talked to like, no, you don't understand. I've cut everything back. I've done everything I can. You don't understand. It's like, no, we understand. You can only cut back so far, which is why the other side of the equation was you got to grow the income. And people are like, no, I'm working full time at this job. Great. Working full time at this job. And if you're working full time at the job and it's still not enough and you've cut everything back, it's time to look at maybe a new job. Who's hiring right now? Truckers. They're hiring. Starting pay 45,000.
There you go.
And maybe that's not a lot of money. Maybe I was making 60,000. Well, if you were making 60,000 and the job went away, now you're making zero. So it would be nice to go from 0 to 45 at least, right? There is like an unlimited number of trucking jobs that are available. So if you're out there and you're like, I need a job, just look for your nearest trucking school, give them a call. Not only are they going to train you, someone's going to there's deals where they pay for it and they work it all out into your pay and stuff. It's kind of like how the cell phone bill works, right?
Oh, yes.
You went and hey, we're going to work your education into your salary and your pay and all of that. So something to think about, folks, because we want to give you hope and let you know that there is a future. So as you put your budget together, another thing I've noticed is that one of the reasons why people don't like talking about budget is because people just don't even ever actually do it. I mean, how many people actually track their expenses? I mean, I want to let you know that I didn't, not for the longest time. In fact, I only started keeping a budget when I hired an accountant. I mean, I'm going to be honest, keeping a budget is very difficult. But you know what? It was easy to hire an accountant. And now I have I have a budget and it gets emailed to me and I see it and I'm able to keep up with it. I love accountants. I don't want to be one, but
well, you bring up a good point. I mean, we have an amazing accountant, and I know, the guy just loves to just sit there and crunch numbers.
Bean counter is all.
He loves it. He thrives on it. He gets an adrenaline pump. He's just like, give me the next entry. I was like, he's just crazy at that. Mike Charles on here says, not doing the trucking thing, but looks like he was a trucker one time. But then I know people that, that's their dream. That's their passion, is just being on the road all day. Like, they absolutely love it. Like, there's things that you're good at that I absolutely hate. And there's things that I'm good at that you absolutely don't want to do. I'm pretty much good at everything. I know, me too. But it doesn't mean I need to do everything though, right?
Right. But that's something to think about. Now, you might be thinking, well, you guys have your 6 businesses, and so that's why you can have an accountant, but I can't have an accountant. Well, okay, so my wife and I, before the accountant, we kind of struggled and worked it out, and we, it's something that you have to do, and you figure out a way to do it. And but this sheet here is very useful. There's plenty of them out there. You can go go online, do a search. You can find any kind of spreadsheet to help you keep a budget. There's plenty of them out there. But I just wanted to show that to you. And let's see, let's jump into, where are we at? Today's case study, right? Case study. I love this stuff. This is the funnest part of the day. Now, mastermind number 15. We're looking at the numbers. We're looking at the numbers here. These come from folks who bring in their information, and we just, here, let me, there we go. Let's make that full screen. So here we are looking at somebody's number. You know, I like these numbers, by the way, at first glance, but let's go ahead. This is the interactive part, okay? So let's have a look here. I want to go into our attendees. So for you, Antonio and Arlene and Sharina and Damon and Robert, hey, this is your time. We're going to work together. This is our mastermind tonight. We're working with you guys here, and you're going to help us work through these numbers, and we're going to take a look. And so I need your input. I need your wisdom. Let's work through it now, folks. Okay, so first things first, why don't you tell me what we're going to do? I mean, I'm putting it out there to you folks. Here's what we're looking at. We got income, expenses, available credit, credit balance, credit interest rate, loan amount, loan term, the start of the loan, the interest rate, the payment, and the current situation, no auto loan, $250 a month student loan, no credit card debt. So what do we do here? How do we start evaluating this? We're looking at somebody's, well, we're looking at not the full itemized out budget here, but we do see the income and we do see the expenses. What do we need? What are the components? So each and every week that we work together to do credit banking, we cover a certain portion of it. Like we're covering budget today, but we also have to talk about lines and loans of credit, and we have to talk about the actual credit banking strategy of how we do all of this. And we don't have time each and every week to cover everything exhaustively. Otherwise, this would be a 6-hour presentation. But so we focused on budget for the purpose of building positive cash flow. But let's start looking and breaking this down. So let's see what we got going on. So calculate the efficiency of the loans. That's what Damon says, and that's a good idea. Yeah. So, but before the efficiency, which we can calculate, I think we should figure out what kind of cash flow are we working with here, folks?
There you go. Little Tussin had it right on.
Perfect. So how do we figure out cash flow? Cash flow is the amount of money that's left over after all expenses have been paid. So again, I write this out every week, but in case, you know, we have new people that are joining us every week, seeing this for the first time. And I would like to encourage any of you, if you're getting real value from what you're seeing here, put a like on this. If you're on YouTube with CJ Wallace's Velocity channel, put a like down there. Let them know that this is the kind of content that you want more of. Comment or share it. If you think that there's somebody out there that could utilize this in their life and it could be a changer, don't hoard this, information. Be liberal. Share it to the masses. Go on to Wise Guys and Ties YouTube page and like us there and follow us there as well. Definitely want to follow, subscribe, like things, because that's how we get input from you. That's how YouTube works their algorithm to find out that this is important content and puts it out there more for more people to see. So if you are in any way impacted by this and it's a blessing to you, then be a blessing to us and like and subscribe if you don't mind. All right, so we're looking at cash flow. So we take our income and we subtract our expenses. Very easy to do. So if we were to subtract 4,500, what would we get? 2,000. Look at that. I like that little feature. All right, so $2,000 of cash flow, right? I like to put it there on the screen so you can see it all mapped out there for you, because you know everybody's in a different place and a different understanding. So, all right, so 2,000. Good job, Antonio. You got it, man. You are the man. All right. So let's go ahead and positively mark our cash flow here. Good, good, good. All right. So now we know what our cash flow is. This is really important. What's next? We've identified our cash flow. Let's look at, you may or may not know this, but it's important to look at our available credit lines and figure out what our utilization is. Utilization. Ray, would you enlighten everybody here what utilization is?
So for those of you that are new to this and you don't necessarily know what utilization is, it is a big factor when it comes to your personal credit. It actually, in most scoring models, makes up about 30% of your score, and it is all about how much of your available credit you are using. So for example, they break it down to each individual card and then give you an overall utilization. So let's say you have a credit card that has a limit of $1,000. If you haven't used the card yet, you have no utilization. It really gets into how much of it you're utilizing. So if you have $500 that's being carried over in that billing period to the next month, then you are at 50%. 50% of your limit is 50% utilization, and so forth. You know, if you've maxed out your line, then you're at 100%. Really, we see significant declines in your credit profile as you start to go over that 50% mark.
And what would you recommend for somebody who's trying to implement a credit banking strategy using a credit card that has been maxed out for more than 6 to 12 months?
You have to be very careful when you are utilizing a credit banking strategy with credit cards that have been maxed out for extended periods of time. Banks, lenders are actually required to mitigate risk. So if you have been maxed out on a certain card for a long time, let's say $5,000 is your limit, you've been carrying a close to a $5,000 limit for quite some time. If you drop, say, $3,000 on there, moving that balance down to $2,000, there's a very good chance that that card holder will drop your limit by
3,000.
Yeah, literally, it could drop it down by 3,000, and you'll be at the same utilization, and it'll almost feel as if you lost money.
Even though you technically owe that money.
Yes, but your utilization won't change, and it'll keep you in a bad situation. That is what we like to refer to as the trap, or I do, at least. That is the trap. One of them, at least.
Yes. All right. So the way we calculate utilization is we take what our current credit balance is and we divide it by our limit.
Are you able to zoom in at all? A little small on the screen, but
is it small on the screen?
Can you zoom it in a little bit?
Of course. I can do anything.
Beautiful.
There we go. I'm sorry, folks. I've got this new laptop, this huge computer. Everything looks big to me, but if it doesn't look big to you, let me make it bigger. But look at that. I mean, it's not, I put dollars there, but that's the utilization, right? Here's our utilization as a percentage. So that's excellent utilization. Now you can obviously eyeball that and see that that's pretty good utilization because you have a $20,000 available credit limit and you're carrying a $20 balance.
Yikes.
Now there's something called carried interest, and so I don't know, sometimes we go into sometimes too much information, but every lender is a little bit different on how they calculate this depending on what scoring model you're looking at. But you usually want to carry somewhere around 1 to 2% of the total balance, as you want to leave that on the card because you want to show that to credit issuers that they are making money off of you. Because you might have heard like, oh, I'm going to put money on the card and then I'm going to pay it all off. Well, you do that. I mean, and that's good. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But there's some scoring models like the FICO 9 scoring model that actually takes carried interest into account. And that can be a slight boost to your score if there is a, if the credit issuer is making monthly interest off of you, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's something to think about. I mean, I know we give you a lot of things to think about. All right. So our utilization is great. Our cash flow is great. Now we're looking, let's look at our debt. So there's a loan here, 30-year loan, which makes me think of a home mortgage that started back on September 29th of 2016. The interest rate is at 3.65%, and the principal and interest payment is $1,400 a month. Now, we also have right here $250 student loan. Let's copy that. Now, here's something we don't know. Oh, on the back to the credit card, we don't know. They didn't provide for us the interest rate. So we're just going to go with the national average. Okay. I was told that you guys can't see our beautiful faces. Well, we can't have that. Can't have that. So there we go. Hopefully you can see us now. And, you know, ladies, don't swoon. I am married. You know, there's other fish in the sea. All right. So now that you can see us, we are talking about so there is a $250 loan. So if I was looking earlier on, okay, here we are. What is the average student loan debt 2019? So just a quick Google or Bing search. I do Bing. I know, I'm the one person who does.
You are unique.
So the average was 29,900. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Let's see, we got a note here. All righty. So someone said, Antonio says 6%. I don't know what that's in reference to. Okay. Oh, should I put a percent? Is that what you're saying? There you go, 21%. So let's just say, because we got to fill in the blanks here, that we are working with $29,000 of debt with $250 monthly payment. I don't know, just to get a number together. Okay, so we're talking about calculating debt efficiency, right? Right. Okay, so let's do that. Calculating debt efficiency. Does everybody remember what that was? Right? Does everybody remember what our equation was? Efficiency equals balance divided by payment. All right. So our loan balance, $150,000 divided by our payment of $1,400 equals 107. Not dollars. Remember, this is a ratio. Okay, so that's 107. Now, let's go down here and look at the student loan. Now, again, just kind of making this stuff up because we don't know what the balance is. But if we take 29,900, divide that by, 250, right? Equals the loan efficiency. That's, again, it's a ratio, not a dollar. Okay, so here is, well, let's label this, you know, so people see what we're looking at. Debt efficiency. All right. We'll copy that, put that up here. And we're looking at our debt efficiency. So this one, the home loan has a debt efficiency of 107.14. That's pretty good.
It's not too bad.
Anything over 100 is good. And then down here, if this was the student loan, This is 119.6.
Even better. So then we want to start with what?
Well, if our priority was to pay off debt efficiency, go by debt efficiency, then we would go with whichever was the lowest number. But, debt efficiency is just one of many. Sometimes people look at their debts, and you might have a spouse where it's like, we have to get rid of student loans. And you might be looking at your debts thinking, well, that retail debt on that computer over there, or the wedding ring that we purchased, those might be more inefficient. But because my wife really wants us to get rid of the student loan debt, I better make that the higher priority, right? So we have to take other things into account. But if we're just solely making the decision based off of debt efficiency, then we would go with the home here. So for all of you who are playing along at home, I always recommend that everybody pulls out their handy dandy real estate investing calculator, the HB 10B2, right? This is the HB 10B2 app. And down in my bag, I actually have the actual calculator itself, because if one is good, then two, it's got to be even better. All right, so what am I going to do with this? Well, I'm looking at the loan here, and we got to figure out actually what the balance is, because this loan started back in September of 2016. And so we have got to figure that now that loan has been around for 4 years minus 5 months, right? So that means 48 minutes. So this loan has been around. They've been paying on this loan for 43 months. All right, we're going to assume that they've made all of their payments and haven't missed one. So a term of 330 years means 360 months. All right. So going into my handy dandy calculator here, and they've been paying on this now for 43 months. Okay. Well, when you start trying to calculate the mortgage and you want to figure out the amortization and all the wonderful things that you can do with a real estate investing calculator, we are going to put in 360. Well, I'm not going to put that in. Well, yeah, I'll put it in at the start. So we have 360. That's where we started, because that's a 30-year note, and the interest rate was 3.65. So I put in the interest rate, and then what was the starting balance? 150,000, right? So we put in 150,000, and then our payment. Well, the payment on the principal and the interest is $686.19. However, you see the payment there is $1,400. Well, what the calculator factors in is PI.
TI.
Well, it doesn't calculate
the calculator doesn't.
Right. The calculator did PI, which is principal and interest. Would you tell them what TI is?
Well, there's always taxes and insurance on any mortgage payment. The calculator itself, yes, it's going to look at interest and principal. But there is also those other factors that vary widely, which is insurance and taxes.
So let us see what happens when we fast forward to today. Let's see if they've made every payment. We got to subtract out the 43 months. So the total amount that's currently owned, the current balance should be approximately, I might be within a few dollars here, $139,453.98. Look at that, folks. So they've been paying on this thing for 4 years now.
4 years.
4 years. And we started at $150,000, and now we're at $139,400. Oops, $453.98.
10,547.
46.
46.
See, that's why he doesn't carry a calculator, because he is a calculator, folks. But so 4 years of owning this house, 4 years of making $1,400 a month payments, and they've only paid it down $10,000. At that rate, it feels like it's going to take forever.
Now, how much have they actually, just for fun? I mean, how much have they actually paid over those 4 years? The $1,400 a month.
They've paid $60,200.
$60,200. So if you were to refinance at that 4 year mark, that's when the banks really start to hit you. That's literally like throwing $50,000 down the drain.
Mhm.
Tell me, I just don't know if there's any percentage rate jump that makes that sense.
Well, I mean, look, the interest rate's 3.65. We offer it to you at 2.99, and we'll shave $200 off your payment. Right?
Woo.
Okay. So, but again, we're talking about a lot of things here, helping you to understand some stuff. Now, I think it's time to pull in the handy dandy credit banking calculator. Let's bring that out to play. Here we are with our handy dandy credit banking calculator. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take all our numbers and plug them in. So let's do our current balance of $139,453.98. That's the balance at an interest rate of 3.65%. Now, the term in months is, we're now down to, it's not 360 anymore. Come on, it's 317. Now, checking my work. Yeah, I got it right. Hey, I got it right.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Okay, so the principal and the interest payment is $686, but the taxes and the insurance and the HOA and mortgage interest, or not mortgage insurance, right? All of that brings it all up to $1,400. Now let's go to our income. So we're going to keep it at 21% interest on the credit card. We're going to put in $6,500 as the income, and we'll put $4,500 as the expenses. We have $2,000 of cash flow. So let's take a look. Let's see what we can see, folks. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, here's what you're looking at here, folks. Here's, this $2,000. Sometimes I'm like, do you have an extra $2,000? I'll tell you why that $2,000 is there in just a minute. But just so you can see it in another light, what if you made an extra $500 a month payment? Where would that be? Okay, so here's 4 different ways to look at it. If you did nothing and you just make your payments, you will pay this off in the next 26.42 years. That in the orange section here, what if you made your payments and then tacked on every month an extra $500? Well, that would save you several years, actually. That would save you 14 years off of the loan, and you would also save $44,000 in interest. Now, I mean, that's pretty good, right? Now with your credit, if you use the basic credit banking strategy, which is what's in the green box, you actually would pay off a 26-year mortgage in 6 years, a little over 6 years. Woo! And save $43,246. Now, you could save $1,000 more dollars, or just under $1,000 more dollars, if you make an extra $500 a month payment, but you're having to make that for 12 years, you know, versus 6 years.
That is 6 years you could be buying another property.
I know. And then the last category, the yellow, this is advanced credit banking, where we start talking about using home equity lines of credit, or using credit banking strategies where you take lines or loans from a business line and apply that towards your mortgage. So all of these can pay this off very quickly. So You might typically start with a basic credit banking strategy, but once you develop enough equity, which is approximately around the 40% mark, you can then switch from a basic credit banking strategy into an advanced credit banking strategy of utilizing a home equity line of credit or a business line of credit that is extended to yourself personally. That's what this advanced credit banking strategy is, which gives you a lower interest rate, lower payments, and can accelerate the pay down. So if you were using, say, 4% here, to pay off this whole mortgage in 4 years and save $64,000. Now, let's go back to when I had put 2,000 in here. I want to show you something, because I had somebody bring up the other day, and it was a great point. They said, hey, look, why don't you just take the cash flow that you free up? And so somebody's maybe wondering, how do we free up that cash flow? Because I might have skipped over that, actually, the freeing up of that cash flow. All we did was we eliminated, right? Here's all we did. We just eliminated the credit card payments and putting away money into the 401ks. That's all we did. So the 401ks in the sample budget was $1,400 a month, and the credit card bills were $600. But if we're going to channel all of our income into our lines of credit, then we don't need to budget for the minimum monthly payment anymore. And if we're not going to put money away into our 401ks, but we're going to learn and get educated and invest it ourselves, then we don't have to give money to Wall Street for them to make money off of us while we don't make anything.
That's right.
So that freed up in that example 2,000. So 2,000 happens to be in this in today's sample what we were looking at. But somebody asked me, well, why don't you just take the $2,000 of your own cash flow that you freed up and just use that as an extra payment?
I get that all the time.
And you want to know something? That actually works out to be faster, because that orange line is actually lining up with the yellow line. You pay it off in 4.75 years and you save $65,000. Sounds like, wait a minute, Joseph, that's better than credit banking. Well, what do I say to that? Well, I'm looking at the math and I'm like, you're paying it off faster and you're saving more money. So yeah, I'd say that looks like a good option. However, I'd like you to consider something. In that example, you are using your own money to pay this down. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's your money, it's your debt, your responsibility to pay it down. But let me tell you something. Every time you take your money and you put it into this debt, it's gone. You lose 100% of that buying power. It is transferred into equity within the property. However, if your credit score is bad or your financials are off or your utilization is too high, your income debt to ratio isn't where it needs to be, you can't even access that equity. But let's say you could. I mean, you are technically putting your own money into the house, and the investment that you're gaining is equity, especially if you turn around and sell the house. But once you sell it, then that equity is gone. But at the time you're making all of these payments, all of your buying power of your cash goes away. Can't do anything with that. Your cash flow, your liquidity during this time is zero, because you're putting all your extra cash into paying this down. And it's getting paid down fast, and you're saving a lot of money in interest. So those are very important things to consider. But consider the credit banking strategy and the benefit here. With credit banking, you're using a line of credit that you got from a bank where they extended you a line of credit from money from their lending pool. Their lending pool, the savings accounts of all the people that are at their bank, is a way in which you are leveraging other people's money. So the credit banking strategy is to utilize other people's money to pay down your debts. You transfer all of your cash, all of your income into available credit. Think of it as like a currency exchange. If you went to another country, you got all your dollars, but you know they won't take it, and you got to buy their funny money that's all rainbow colored, right? You go to exchange and you exchange your currency, and then you get this currency, and now you can go, buy things in that country. So when you use a credit banking strategy, you convert your income into available credit. Now, with available credit, what can you purchase with available credit? Ray, what can you purchase with available
Pretty much anything. Anything that is legal to purchase.
credit? Well, I'll have people instantly say, well, you can't pay a car payment or make a mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
No, that is not true.
Well, yes and no.
Well,
Technically, they will not accept a credit card payment.
right.
But could you pay a third-party processor who will then give them a certified check or a wire transfer, and you use your
Absolutely.
credit card to pay the third-party processor to do that?
Absolutely. There's always a workaround. I guess there's nothing that's ever black and white.
Right. So in theory, absolutely, you can buy everything with credit. Credit is even more liquid than money. I mean,
Yes.
if you need to buy something, like say a movie rental until late at night and everything's closed, then you can't do it. But if I have a credit card, I can get that movie rental.
Well, I mean, just think about this. I mean, everybody now prefers credit. They're
Right.
moving in that direction. You show up at a hotel, you know, with cash, they're gonna look at you funny. They want a card.
Right, because cash is also a huge liability. Somebody can rob you and steal it from you.
Absolutely.
But credit is electronically transferred. So I bring all this up to say this. When you transfer your cash currency into available credit, you have what's called liquidity. You can use that for what you want. What you end up using with your lines of credit to pay down debt is other people's money. You're using the lines of credit, and the interest rate that you pay, in this case, the 21%, is an APR. And when you divide an annual percentage interest rate over 12 months, you'll find out that what you're paying to rent somebody else's money to pay down your debt is 1.75% a month. Now, all that's well and good, but here's the real advantage. As you utilize a credit banking strategy every month, so you take a big chunk out of it by loading up the line of credit, not all the way, but about 50% or just under 50%
Mm-hmm.
of your line of credit, and then you start paying it down with your cash flow. You're paying it down more every month than what your expenses are. So the speed at which you pay down your debt is the amount of your cash flow. So in this case, $2,000. Now here's what happens. A lot of beautiful things happen. Every 6 to 12 months, there is a computer underwriter that evaluates these credit accounts. And what they look for is, was the account used every month? Did they keep the average daily balance under 50% utilization? They look at all these payment activities, and they look at the credit score. They do a soft pull. And if you check mark off all the boxes according to the computer underwriter, they give you a little credit boost, a little increase. Here's an extra $5,000, right? Sometimes it just happens and you didn't even do anything. Now, you can always call and speak to a human underwriter, right? Not the computer, every 6 to 12 months that you have your account, and you can ask for a credit limit increase or an interest rate reduction, or both. And here's what's beautiful is, over the course of the 6 years that you would do that, you might be starting, like, this person has $20,000 in lines of credit. Easily after the 6 years, this person could have $85,000 to $100,000 in available lines of credit. And the example where you just took your own cash and you paid it all off, that's great, but you end up still with the same line of credit that you had when you started. Because all you did was make minimum monthly payments on that line of credit.
Absolutely.
So you're right back where you started. You didn't gain anything. I mean, you saved money. You paid it off about a year and a half faster than you would have if you hadn't done the credit banking strategy. But the person who does the credit banking strategy, sure, they spend a year and a half more, but they end up with so much more leverage because now they have more of other people's money.
Oh, you left out a critical point. I mean, a lot of that is factoring in putting it all on a credit line. So they won't actually have that much cash flow
What are you talking about?
on that 2,000. They won't have.
No. This is 2,000. They're not putting. They're putting so they're keeping their credit card balances and just making the minimum payments. They're taking their cash flow that they free. Oh, so they would. So
That's what I'm saying, because part of that cash flow came from dropping
So
all
they're
their
only
income on there. So maybe they only have about 1,500 of cash flow actually.
14, 15. Right, that's true. But let's say that they
Sorry,
did.
I just wanted to complicate things.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Yeah, okay. So let's make that adjustment for Ray. Okay, there you go. So now it ends up being equal, right? It takes the exact same amount of time, but there's more savings. But the person who does just even the basic credit banking is going to end up so farther ahead because obviously they're going to benefit with the same with the other person by having the same lowered income to debt ratio, but they'll have benefited because the orange person has $20,000 in lines of credit. The green person has $80,000 to $100,000 in lines of credit and has a better credit score in the process. Orange person has roughly the same credit score when they started, whereas the person with the green has seen 100 to maybe even as much as 200-point increase in their credit score over the 6-year period of time.
Absolutely. And you also, I mean, it's called credit banking for a reason, because it's not just the checking account, it's also the savings account.
Right.
So if we do that, if we're putting all of our cash flow towards the payments, what happens if there's an emergency?
Well, you have nothing. You have no liquidity, right? Remember when you put all your own money into paying that down, you've lost all your buying power. When you put everything through your line of credit, your available credit limit, you can use that for in case of emergency.
That's a big power there. And in every single payment, you're just building a bigger savings.
I probably get at least one person a week who tells me, well, Joseph, there's an easier way. Just take your extra money and put that on there. And I get it. And you can do that. And that's fine. But credit banking is a more holistic strategy. It encompasses your savings, your checking. It improves your income to debt ratio. It lowers utilization. It grows your credit score. It grows your liquidity and your available credit. Your lines of increase. It basically solves world hunger, poverty. It cures the coronavirus. I mean, credit banking is absolutely everything that you need to live. Well, that combined with business credit, I would say.
Well, you mentioned this earlier because it's a line of credit. Let's say that you're in a situation. Let's say that the person that is just dumping all their extra money on their mortgage, and then all of a sudden we run into a situation like what we're facing right now. What do you do? Because if there's no savings built up, we can build that savings through credit. The folks that have been doing credit banking have the ability now to access that credit for emergencies, to pull those funds back out and make their mortgage payments with their credit. If you have a home equity line of credit, the beauty is you can literally pull out the funds and put the funds right back in to make the payment to satisfy itself. To make a mortgage payment, if I just put $2,000 on my mortgage, I can't pull that money back out and repay the mortgage to satisfy that debt. That's one of the big things, is the safety net. The safety net. There's so many folks that have gone into foreclosure and lost their house because they put all their money towards their mortgage payment and didn't plan on having that credit safety net. Because Perfect. You can literally save your house with your lines of credit.
I forgot to mention here that Antonio Rodriguez, he was back when we were talking about how could you pay off a mortgage or a car payment with a credit card. I was looking away at the time, but he had put out there Plastic, which is one of many third-party payment processors out there. Not that we necessarily endorse any specific one, but I do like Plastic because they only charge 2.5%.
Yeah, it's very reasonable. Very reasonable.
I agree. But thank you for that feedback, Antonio. All right. So with the case study over, folks, we're going to wrap it up and get you going out here. So, hey, are you thinking like, this was awesome? I would really love it if you guys went over my numbers, or we could take a look. We'd love to do that. If you want to be a part of the credit banking mastermind, simply go to wiseguysandties.com. /credit-banking. And Tuesday nights you can get, I mean, we select randomly who's going to participate and be here. But we want you to know that if you fill out the form, you put your first name, last name, your phone number, and then you have to check mark these boxes, right? Because we don't want to be, we want you to hold us harmless, right? We're just participating in a mastermind, and it's not like the advice that's given here is from an attorney or a CPA, but we are successful business owners that have helped hundreds of clients do this. But this is an opportunity for everybody to participate and work through this. Now, also, we want you to realize that for you to fill out, once you give us the contact information and put all your information in here, we don't sell your information or share your information with anybody. In fact, it's only for our internal purposes to contact you. And we only contact you if you want us to. If you don't want us to, you won't hear from us, right? That's as simple as it is. Now, put in your information. This is all the information that you saw that we work with, and you can get more specific with your current situation in the field below, and then you just on the bottom of that box, click submit, and you're done. If you want to meet and have a 30-minute consultation with us, this is the same place you go. Just fill this out, and then you can, and then you'll be contacted actually by Kristen, our office manager, who will schedule a time for you to meet with us. All right. So once again, I want to remind you guys, we've been trying to tell you, but the big event's coming up this Friday. In fact, I have the wrong date on this slide too. I will fix this. Gotta put a 1 there. All right. Boom. All right. This April 17th, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, join us for a 2-hour life-changing event, right? This is where we learn how to build, start, and grow your very own business and create your own economy. Wouldn't you like to have control? I mean, so many people feel like everything's outside their control. Everything's up to what is the government going to do? What is the House of Representatives? What's the Senate? What's the president? You know, what's going to happen? What's the governor going to do? Is he going to shut down? You know, everything's out. We feel out of control. Take control of your life. That's what's so liberating about this upcoming Friday. I mean, would you share some of your excitement about what's coming up?
Well, I mean, you were just saying it right there. The reason that this is such confusion is we do not live somewhere where the people are oppressed. You know, it's like China, they can shut everything down. Nobody has anything to say. You know, we are a country of free thinking folks. And that's part of the difficulty is we have a substantial amount of freedom. So as some folks are sitting there paralyzed, what are you going to do about it? You don't have to be paralyzed. It is entirely up to you. Many folks are saying, you know, this cup, it's empty. You're like, I don't have a job. I don't have anything. That's great. You don't have a job. Congratulations. You got yourself a computer. Start a business, because you have more than enough opportunities now and no excuses.
In fact, if you already have a business, we're going to be helping you get access to new lines of credit. We're going to give you the underwriting guidelines for several different lines of credit that you can actually go out and get, you know, that day. We're going to be giving away an Apple iPad, right? And more on that, on how you can enter and get into that. But you only for those who attend live, right, will be able to get access to this Apple iPad drawing. So, I mean, it could just be worth your time to get an Apple, you know, iPad. But for those who are there, you're going to learn how to finally do this. Ray and I are so blessed, and we just see it as our job to share what we've been blessed with. We have 6 businesses. This has actually been a little challenging for us. Some of our businesses are hurting, but other businesses are doing okay. But I mean, think about that for yourself. What if you had 6 businesses, 6 different streams of income coming in? So if something happens, yeah, some of our businesses aren't doing so well, but other businesses are doing just fine. So that's one of many different layers of protection built in to being a business owner. And we want you to have that same type of control over your own economy. So we have Antonio again says he can't wait for Friday.
Woohoo!
So we're excited. Make sure you put it on your calendar, folks. We're super excited.
This training, there has been literally months since the three of us, CJ, myself, and you have been in the same training together. It's been a while.
Last summer, the 4th of July. And speaking of that, you were talking about how we're all locked down right now. I really hope that the lockdown ends by July 4th, so they'll let us out to celebrate our freedom.
There you go. I'll just blow up stuff in our backyards.
Amen. All right. So, hey, folks, thank you so much. Thank you to CJ Wallace for bringing us out here on the YouTube channel. We love you, folks, and we want you to realize that, look, there's a lot going on. Don't let not your heart be troubled, okay? And we're going to get through this. Everything's going to be fine. And in fact, when you start hanging around with people who have the right mindset on how to build and create and grow wealth, you can do that for yourself as well. If you're going to hunker down and be scared and panic yourself to death, you're free to do so. It's a free country. But for those of you who want to experience life at a different tempo and feel like you were meant for more, join us, right? Especially this Friday. And for those who want to work with us and start consulting with us right now, our contact information is on your screen. You can give us a call, 888-524-9273, or you can email us, or better yet, always go to our website and find out all kinds of great information about business credit. And there's credit banking information now on our website as well. So, there's a lot of different nuggets and ways for you to learn more. The learning never stops, basically.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, folks. Have a good night. God bless.